Today I want to share some important topic with you related to climate change. We all know that methane gas is contributing a lot in context of climate change, as it is one of the major greenhouse gas. From agriculture perspective, methane gas is released from the rice field or from the cattle dung, which is being deposited in the backyard field. So there are few things to make people aware or the farmers aware of it. Firstly, I want to share a few data about methane gas and its impact in climate change. So methane gas is generally released from rice field and from the dung of cattle. What happens is, in the rice field there is a standing water, and when the plant material decomposes in water, and that releases methane gas into the air, and that is a great number. And when methane gas go up into the upper layer in stratosphere, there it get accumulated and block the reflecting rays which comes to the earth and then reflect back. When it blocks all the rays or the heat that being accumulated in the atmosphere, generate greenhouse effect. And that's why we have been facing several issues related to climate change. Every year temperature is increasing, and due to that all the living organisms are being affected. So that is the one point. And another one is the release of methane gas from animal or animal husbandry. So what happens is, when we deposit animal manure or dung in certain place, after few hours or few days, it starts decomposing. And when decomposing starts, there is a release of heat and methane gas as well. So that release of methane gas that goes up in the air and mix up, and then it again do the same thing as I described earlier. It get accumulated, and then it captures the reflecting rays, which makes our planet hotter. And that's that can create a negative impact even on the climate change or even in the agriculture sector. So we need a few things to know about how to minimize these impacts, where to start from. About 50% of methane gas production is from this rice field and from animal husbandry. So if we manage to do these things, obviously we as a farmer can contribute to minimize the impact of climate change. So firstly, in the case of rice field, we can do is alternate wetting and drying of the field. Alternate wetting and drying means whenever there is the requirement of water during the critical growth phase or critical stage, then we can provide. And again, when that phase comes to an end, then we can make the field dry. Again, when the critical phase comes, then again we can add water. So this alternate adding and drying makes a less emission of methane gas from the field. So this can contribute much amount to minimize the impact of climate change. And also we can in context of animal husbandry or the cattle manure, there are a few things we can do, like when feeding the cattle, we can also feed them the fodder that we use from by treating them. So before this concept, why we need to treat the fodder? Because the fodder that cattle eat, and when the cattle eat the fodder or the straw or the dry part of the rice or wheat or any other substrates, they while chewing got some positive bacteria and negative bacteria, let's say, in their stomach. So positive bacteria means they can do good for your body, but negative bacteria means they will feed on those feed inside, going inside, and that can generate methane gas even in the abdomen. So there are 2 points where methane is coming. One, the methane is releasing from that negative bacteria inside the stomach of cattle. And another one, while decomposing, it also generates some amount and releasing into the air. So first of all, while feeding them, we can do one trick here. while feeding, we must treat the fodder like a straw. Keep all the straws, a bulk of straw into the a room, tightly packed room where no air can pass, and then mix of 4 kg of urea that we use as a manure into into 50 liters of water, and then sprinkle it on that fodder, not green fodder, like a straw or a dry fodder that we are using. Then after sprinkling, let mix them all properly so that it can get inside or the below part also. And after a week only, we should feed them, we should use them as a feed to the cattle. So this can be a treatment for that bacteria which is releasing methane in the stomach of cattle. Another one is, while we are depositing the cattle dung on where somewhere in our backyard or in the farm, then we need to decompose it well with our own, and we use certain methods like pit method or a trench method or a heap method. So there are few techniques, and to do this, don't let it in an open condition. Make a trench and put all those byproducts or the waste or dung from the cattle in the pit, and then cover it completely with the slurry of soil and dung, and cover it completely so that the methane gas can't released into the air, and all those material get decomposed in a few months, and we can use it as a fertilizer. So here we can minimize the release of methane gas into the air. So I think this is very much informative one to discuss.